What's up? So Tree Sap had said that Mr. Mongoose should be the mascot of the show, and so there he is. There's Mr. Mongoose. Smells like dust and old people. That's what you think a Christmas tree smells like, then I guess so. So, yeah. So, Dyra has an obsession with dead things. There's a dead snake in a jar above the fireplace, and I'm absolutely terrified that one day is going to fall down, smash over. So I definitely foresee that happening at some point. Just saying, you know.
Are you even coming?
Yeah, I was coming through. You're not though.
That's not fair, is it?
Guess not.
Yeah, we also have a new feature on the wall. We can probably see it. Either the far left or right. I don't know which way this is flipped, but yeah, it's a deer head.
Right there. So Peter says he loves the mongoose.
I do too, but you don't.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the mongoose. Just saying, not a major fan of the mongoose. Nothing wrong with the mongoose. It just looks like the fucking thing is staring at me and following me around all over the place. So, yeah. Like right now, it looks like he wants to stare at me, but because of his stiffened body, he can't. And also, it also looks like he has like his ears are mangled.
This isn't the best quality taxidermy, but that's what you get when you buy it second hand, or even third hand at this point.
Yep. The mongoose is probably older than her and I combined, which is pretty old. When mongoose comes alive, run. That's what I'm waiting for. Straight up, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that damn thing to come to life. And then punt it out the door like a football.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was £135.
I don't give a shit. That was a waste of 135 pounds. God damn. That thing cost 135 pounds?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I'm sorry. I could think of such better things to spend 135 pounds on.
And there's me making comments on how much you spend on your beard.
It wasn't just my beard. I mean, it was primarily my beard, but, you know.
£192 on a beard.
Hey. I mean, to be fair, they were clippers, a beard straightener, beard oil, beard balm, beard shampoo and conditioner, and just shampoo.
I suggested that if he just shaves the beard off, he won't have to buy any of that.
Not gonna happen. Then she made a comment as whether it was her, if it was her dying wish, she'd be like, okay, fine, I'll send you an AI generated picture of me without a beard. It's fair.
I think that's what I literally said. That's not fair. After you said that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Looking like a baby. Yeah, exactly. No, so the thing is like, I seriously, like, without my beard, I easily lose like 10 years.
Yeah, but you can always grow it back. That's the amazing thing about hair.
What if I die before it grows fully back in?
I don't think you'll give a shit if you die.
I will, right before I'm dead. Be like, fuck. um, so yeah, so today's episode, what we're going to be talking about, it's gonna be kind of interesting. So it's handling challenges and growing stronger together. So this is magically and just kind of generally speaking, right? So the first thing we're going to unpack is kind of navigating challenges that arise, within the practice and as a couple. Which side of that do you want to start on?
Whatever one's first on the list.
You weren't paying attention, were you?
Yeah, I was. I don't, but I can see how it's written. It's written in a listed format.
Yeah, I know, but it looks like you kind of zoned out because
I can zone out and still listen.
Okay.
Sometimes I was listening. It was either magical or like as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
You said magical first. Let's just go with.
Okay, guess what? That's what we're gonna go with first. So, honestly, I think magically speaking, I don't think we've really run into many issues. I don't feel that there are many challenges that have arisen as far as like where we practice, how we practice, needing to do things at the same time, or anything like that. Like time frames overlapping. I don't see that. Like, I mean, any of that is actually an issue. I mean, what do you think?
It's funny you should say that, because earlier today, I said to you, around 5 o'clock, I need to go and do some work, like some spell work. And so I was upstairs, I can't remember what I was doing, but I wasn't in the room yet, in the ritual room.
Mm-hmm.
And you came upstairs and I could hear you doing something in the ritual room, just getting something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could smell incense burning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that you'd burn incense downstairs, but that was it. I was having a shower before I started my ritual work.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the bedroom, getting dressed and everything, and I could hear this noise coming from the ritual room, like long after you'd left. And I genuinely thought you were doing something in there, like ritual work-wise, just before I was. I was like, what the fuck? I literally just said I need to go in there in like 20 minutes. And I thought you would like quickly just like getting something in, like while you could. I was like, we're going to need to fucking have a talk about this because that's not on. But then I realised that you were downstairs literally like the entire time. And I don't know why that, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that things are moving around in there by themselves. But, apparently that was happening. Because I said to you, have you been doing something in here? And you're like, no, I literally just came to get something and walked out. So.
Yeah. Well, because I figured because she said she was going to go take a shower first and then, do some work. I was like, all right, I need to get up there and get the incense before she starts doing her thing. So went upstairs and I grabbed some incense stick, came downstairs and I burned it down here. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we've really kind of run into like any kind of like timing issues, things like that. I mean, all right. So the one thing I guess I could say that I've run into is the residual energy after she's done working. Like I'll go in there and I'll want to do something. I'll just walk out and be like, I can't do it right now. Like, I mean, it's just too funky. And the thing is because she's consistently doing shit, right? It's like there is kind of like a small part of me kind of is like sitting here kind of thinking like, am I ever going to get a chance to like work in here when it's clean? So
your best bet is weekends.
Yeah. So, and I can't say much because like the thing is like, I mean, it's her job. So, like it's kind of shit has to get done. Right. It's not like I can say like, well, hold off for the day so I can do something. So, but yeah, I think that that's probably like the only thing that I would say that's kind of like maybe potentially that might cause an issue because we're using the same space to do stuff. So there's kind of always like residuals left over when you're done doing something. And also like at the same time, like that the residual is like the energy doing its thing, right? So if there's also the possibility that if I go in there after she's done doing something and there's that residual in there and I'm working my shit, the shit'll mix and potentially cancel both out. Right. So it's like that's also kind of like another reason why I won't kind of like take that step forward and go in and like start doing my work right after she's done doing hers, because it could fuck her shit up, it could fuck my shit up, you know, it could amplify and end up doing something it's not supposed to. So most likely scenarios, it just cancels out and then nothing works, and then it's just kind of like a waste of time at that point. So I was kind of wait for like, you know, when it feels kind of like chill. Like when we first got here, like it was pretty like the energy was pretty clean. It was pretty low key. But obviously she's been doing regular work. So, I mean, I think that's kind of like another thing. Is like, I would definitely, like in this experience, I would say that in the future, it might become a pertinent thing that we have two separate areas to work in. Just in case of like if we want to be working at the same time or doing something, you know, so just to have two separate areas to work in. So I would say that could potentially become a challenge, but currently isn't. Like I'm okay with it. Like I'm okay with like, all right, fine. Like, you know, like I don't need to be doing rituals like, you know, every day. I would like to, but I don't need to be. You know, I got other shit that I can do, and stuff like that. So, you know, sage can do whatever your intent is. Like, so a lot of people say that's like for cleaning like negative energy. I think it's just like cleaning energy, period. Like whatever energy you want to clean out of a space, right? But also like I don't want to do that because like again, like the residual energy means that whatever it is that she was doing is doing its thing. And so if I go in sage and shit, you know, I'm just canceling out the energy that's, you know, kind of flowing.
And sage is more associated with like negative energy, and like the energy is not necessarily negative, it's just very there.
Exactly. So yeah, I think, but I think overall magically, I don't think that there's much issue. You know, also like to be completely honest, like my altar isn't complete yet, and I don't want to work on an incomplete altar.
Yeah, we're still adding trinkets to it and stuff. I think another good talking point for this is like the idea of like, I know it sounds a bit out there, but like doing spells on each other and like our boundaries when it comes to that, because like it is a thing. Like occult couples do that.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Like I've definitely heard it spoken about, and I think it's I don't know, maybe a misconception that like that's something we might do. I don't know. Like in the sense of like you know, a certain someone suggested that I put a love spell on you. When I didn't. Like I don't need to. So yeah, just things like that, you know, like there are people that, like for example, my clients, right? They come to me wanting me to put love spells or domination spells on men that they're already in a relationship with. You know, like it does happen. Like someone's not satisfied in a relationship and they feel like they can't talk to their partner about it, or they're trying to make their partner into something that they want them to be, not who they actually are. That's usually their, you know, way of addressing that situation. But I just don't think it would even come into our minds.
Yeah, no, I don't.
To address a problem in that way.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it also, it's like, it's not, like, you're not really addressing, you're just putting a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a problem, like a joint problem, like it wasn't your problem or my problem, it was ours, and we thought that, like, the best way for us to address it was magically, then that's something we would discuss.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to kind of look at. I mean, I don't, so Nobody's actually asked this question yet, but I feel like it might in the future. It's probably going to be something that might come up because if you like, I mean, like, so with Dyra's work, like she does a lot of work of doing a kind of like ritual work, like on other people, right? Um, and I have said many times that I won't, like, I won't hex people. I won't curse people. I won't do anything that's going to force someone to do something that's outside of, you know, the panorama of their own free will. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because I can just hear the questions eventually at some point asking about like the ethical boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, how do I perceive what Dyra does ethically compared to what I refuse to do? And I would have to answer that in a sense of I don't give a shit. Like it's every practitioner has their own way of doing things. Every practitioner has their own boundaries. Every practitioner has things things that they are willing to do and things that they are not willing to do. My reasoning for not wanting to hex and not wanting to curse are my own, and I don't need to project that onto her and try to guilt trip her like in what it is that she's doing, right? So I think that is like kind of like also kind of like an important boundary to kind of understand, because like I said, we all have different ways of working and limit and our own limits. If she's okay with doing it, that's her fucking that's her thing, right? It has nothing to do with me. Like I think a lot of people think that like ethically, like because it might be considered or misconstrued as being unethical to a certain degree, then there's like a karmic aspect to it. And you know, well, I've already discussed karma at length, but I don't. I think that people's understanding of karma is there's a misunderstanding of karma, how karma works. You create your own karma. And how do you create your own karma? Well, your own guilt makes bad things happen. Like if you do something fucked up, and that's fine, just leave it.
Oh, okay.
If you do something fucked up and you feel guilty about it, your guilt is going to eat away at you and push you in a certain direction, right? If you do something fucked up and you're like, I don't care, like I'm fucking Lex Luthor here, right? You know, I'm like, you know, the villain in the story and I'm happy to be one. Then guess what? Nothing bad's going to happen because your energy's not pushing you that direction.
And that is why bad people get away with bad things. I consider myself and the way in which I work is to be a little bit like a lawyer, in the sense that doesn't really matter what your client did or where they're coming from. It's your job to get them the best deal possible. So in terms of ethics, I'm really no different from that, which is how I usually explain it to people when they question me on ethics and stuff. And the thing is I do still have boundaries. Like I still have a limit as to how far I can go or I will go. And when I actually do work on someone, I'm tapping into their energy, so I can feel what they're about. I can tell if the reason they are the way they are, the reason they've hurt this person and this person now wants revenge on them is because they've got low self-esteem issues or they've got mummy issues. Like, I know what it's about. And that can then, or if they're just like a really fucked up individual and they're just inherently horrible. So knowing that, I can, I can tell sort of like, you know, how far should I be going here? Do I go hard or do I throw just something a little bit their way so it gives them a lesson and helps them to sort their shit out? Because sometimes having a little hex on you can actually kind of push you to learn.
I mean, yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, so Mr. Musician so asks, like, but is this true that we can make people do out from their will by spells like making your ex come back and hexing someone? Yeah, you can. Um, now here's the thing. If like the way that I explain this is that generally speaking, there is don't do that or it will start coming through the computer.
Oh. I'll turn it down.
So
just hit ding 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 ding.
or I can just do this and turn it down there.
I'm just gonna grab my wolf.
Okay. So the way that I explain how ritual work and spells and things like that work is the reason they work is because there's a thread that connects all of us together. Right? There is a thread that just keeps us connected and everything connected. There is an energy that flows through everything, and simultaneously. It's not like an energy that's just inside of living things. It just flows through everything. It's a universal thread that connects through every aspect of life. And part of that thread is what a lot of people refer to as universal energy. It's an energy that just exists, and we know it exists. We know there's a vibration to the universe, right? Whether that be a vibration caused by movement or what have you, there's energy, right? And we know that energy can't be destroyed. It just changes form, right? So that's another aspect of things. So the universe isn't going to let happen anything that isn't supposed to happen. That doesn't fit. Like, it's not necessarily that the universe is a conscious entity per se that actively thinks about certain things, but the universe understands its own balance, right? That's kind of the point. And so the universe isn't going to let happen anything that's going to throw itself out of balance. It's just automatically denied.
Thank you.
So with that being said, anything you do magically, if for any reason what it is that you're trying to do is going to, in some way, shape, or form, throw the universe off of balance, guess what? It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like, I mean, you can do it over and over again in a million different ways. It's just not going to happen. The universe, it's just not going to get through. If what you're trying to do doesn't have any consequence to the universe, then yeah, the universe will let it happen or start to allow things to start to move in a way to get that direction. So how does this work? It isn't like the movies where you do a ritual, you do a spell, and the next day, the guy that pissed you off has got the crabs, right? It doesn't work that way, right? You can't just miraculously, boom, you got the crabs, you got this, you got some type of STD, you got, like tongue rot. Like, it's not an instantaneous thing. So let's say you did, let's use as an example. Let's say you did a ritual or a spell saying that, somebody that mouthed off to you or disrespected you wanted them to lose their tongue, right? So does that mean that the day after you do the ritual, that person for some reason is just not going to have their fucking tongue? It's just going to disappear in the night while they're asleep? No, that's not how that works. What will happen potentially is that the universe will start to align things into a certain direction, putting that person into a situation where they might get some type of infection on their tongue. They might accidentally get uppercutted in the jaw with their tongue between their teeth and bite their own tongue off. Something will happen in alignment with what it is that you're trying to do. And it takes time. Depending on where that person is energetically and universally speaking, like on a physical level, you're talking about a situation, it might take 24, 48, 72 hours, might take a week, possibly a month, fuck knows. I mean, it might take 5 years. But eventually, as that energy continues to move in the direction that you pushed it, something will end up happening. Right? Now, depending at the level in which you've put that energy in there, he might actually lose his tongue, or he might just have an allergic reaction to some peanuts. But you're pushing energy to move in a different direction. Now, do I think at some point in the past, our ancestors had the ability to do things that were a lot more Hollywood-like? Yeah, I do, actually. I do fully believe that. Like, I am one of them weird fucking people that I fully believe that there were people back in the day that could form fireballs in their fucking hands. Like, I fully believe that shit. Now, I think that what has happened is that we've been completely disconnected from our ancestry, and the church has made sure of that. And with that disconnect, we've lost the ability to do that, right? Like, I think it's on a basis of how many people are connected to the source at one time. And the more people that are pulling magic are also giving magic, and it makes that signal, makes that frequency stronger. And because there are so few people in the world that are actively practicing magic in a traditional sense, that frequency is really low and not high enough or powerful enough to allow us to kind of pull that kind of energy right now. And it may never be strong enough to pull that kind of energy again, which is kind of sad. But yeah, anyway, we went completely to fuck off topic.
As usual.
As usual. But I mean, what do you think about like what I'm laying down here?
It's funny, we talked a little bit about this, like, on the second time I was on Apocrypha, I think. And yeah, I think our ancestors are probably more capable of doing some freaky shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know if I'd go as far as fireballs, but maybe levitating.
Well, I mean, if you can levitate, you're not too far off of a fireball.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just an example. I mean, can we revive it? Yeah, I think we could, but it would take us being the majority, not the minority.
But Atius, can we revive this? I really want to see this thought come true that will be strong enough to do what our ancestors did. But I think you probably can. I think you just need to like do about 20 years of training to get it right, and like hours of focus every single day. Because like there's people that have, you know, started like doing like telekinesis and stuff with like shit on a table. But it's kind of like, okay, so I can move, like, say, for example, I can move my vape across the table without touching it, right? But how does that actually serve me? So it's a case of, like, unless I can learn how to, like, throw over a fucking bus in the space of a year, I can't really be bothered.
Well, so the biggest problem with the TikToks that I see with people doing that, so sadly, a lot of the people that fall for that, like, I mean, some of them seem like the ones that impress me the most are the ones that are super fast, right? Like I've sent you one, like this guy that was like super fast grabbing his lighter off the table. Like it was like you couldn't catch his hand, right? And I've seen now a few people doing that, and they'll have like a ball or like a pendulum or something moving at normal speed to show that they're not speeding up the video. And that impresses me because that's like physical ability, and there's like something else there because like I've just personally never seen anybody move that fast, and now there's like 3 of them that have cropped up that can move like that. That impresses me. The people with the little fucking aluminum foil on the table that go whoo, right? So there's a thing in physics when you move your hand through the air, right? You're creating pressure in your hand, right? When you go like this, you're creating pressure, a pressure area right here. You're also building up static electricity by moving your hand through the air. This is just physics. Like static electricity will build up through the friction in the air. And then you have a small piece of aluminum foil on the table. Aluminum, what happens, like, so how do I explain this? Like, have you ever taken, like, you know, a piece of aluminum foil and, like, rubbed it on the rug and then stuck it above your head? What happens? Your hair starts to stand up, right? Static electricity build up. Static electricity build up on your hand, the position, you know, how they have the aluminum foil, they move their hand, the friction builds up, and they get that little push of air. That's all they're doing. They're pushing air, and they're knocking over a piece of paper. Right? Like going like this with your hands super fast in one direction of something is the equivalent of going, whew, right? And saying, look, I can move something without touching it. Whew, right? So, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand physics. And like even on a basic level. I'm not fucking Albert Einstein or anything, but you know, I have to do a very basic understanding of how physics functions. And so they watch that shit and they go, ooh. And it's like, oh, so sad. So sad. Those are what we would call snake oil salesmen, right? That's what they are. Like, so people grabbing stuff really fast, physical ability, very impressive. People pushing paper with their hand, like pushing air to push a very light piece of paper around a table, not so much so. I've seen some people do some interesting things with telekinesis and moving stuff across the table that cannot be explained, like with basic physics. So there's that as well. Now, moving into the second part here. So dealing with challenges as a couple that are LHP, but not necessarily LHP challenges. These ones are a little bit more prevalent, right? Because at the end of the day, we're people, right? You know, and people have problems. And so Dyer actually said something interesting. So a little bit earlier. So when she mentioned problems, she's like, something that's not your problem or my problem, but our problem. So this is a point of difference in opinion, I think. So I'm very much the type of person that, like, her problems are my problems, right? Like, I take those on to a certain degree, right? Like, I mean, they don't keep like being like only her problems. It's her problem, something she has to deal with. But I take on a part of that weight to kind of alleviate it to a certain degree, right? Or as much as I can. Whether that be through conversation, whether that through be listening, whether that through be actually like assisting in some way, like lifting a hand to do something. I think when it comes to challenges, whether it's a challenge that we're individually facing or it's something we're facing together, it's understanding the boundaries of where you're able to help and where you're not able to help. And letting the other person know that you're there, right? Like, I think that's, at least for me, that's the most important aspect. Because when you make a decision to be with someone and you make a decision to share a life with someone, like, listen to what I just said. You make a decision to share a life with someone. So you don't just share the things that are happy. You don't just share the things that are fun. You share the things that are difficult as well. You share the things that are hard to deal with. Those things, those aspects are shared as well. You can't just share one side of something and not share the other, right? You have to, you know, find a way to balance everything out. And, you know, I mean, most of you know that, like, you know, there's a lot going on with me as far as like my son is concerned and like my ability to have contact with my son. And, you know, I mean, I miss my son a lot. You know, there's hardly a day passes that I don't cry at some point because I miss him, because I love him, because I just want to hear him laugh. I want to hear him ask me to spend money on him, like to buy him stuff for, you know, Call of Duty or whatever, you know, like I want that, right? I mean, one of the things that I've always been proud of as a human being is being a father. I love being a father. It's something that I have a great amount of pride in being, like, above everything else. Being an artist, being an occultist, being all of these things, my greatest accomplishment in my life is being a father and trying to be a decent one, right? And I feel like that's being taken away from me, right? Like that is, you know, being forcefully taken away from me, like my ability to do that, just because I'm not physically present, right? And so I feel like I was abandoned as a kid, right? My father abandoned me, and abandonment is picking up, disappearing, and wanting nothing to do with your kid. Like, you want to move on your entire life and forget you have a child and just start over. No birthday cards, no phone calls, no nothing, right? That's abandonment. Did I move country? Yeah, I moved country temporarily. Like that, and there's a big asterisk on that, right? Like, I mean, like the thing is a lot of people throw out there is like, or what's being thrown out there is like, oh well, he left. One, temporarily, and two, with every intention of talking to my son every single day. Like, I mean, him and I had plans. We were going to watch movies together through Discord. We were going to play video games every night. It was going to be a big part of my daily routine, speaking to my son and spending time with my son, even though, like, I'm temporarily out of the country. And those plans aren't being, like, he's not, he's not able to communicate with me, as the first video I upload shows. And so that's one challenge that I'm dealing with, and that's a me thing, right? That's a me challenge, and it's hard, and it's not easy on Dyra either, because she has to deal with me bawling my eyes out like a sap, like at random points. Like, I mean, we can, like, I remember we were on our way to Brighton, this wonderful kind of day planned just to kind of hang out in Brighton, have some coffee and eat some food, fish and chips and stuff like that. And we're on our way there, and I just start bawling my eyes out in the car like an idiot, and it brings down the mood, right? It's a challenge. It's a challenge that, even though it's my problem, it's something we both have to deal with, because she chooses to deal with me, right? She chooses to be a part of my life. It's something that affects me, and because it affects me, that either directly or indirectly affects her. And so, like, how would you say you deal with that? Because, I mean, that would be your place to say, like, how you deal with that, like, that particular challenge.
I try to let you be, and also be there for you. It's because the first thing that pops into my head when I see you having a rough time is, how do I fix this? How do I make everything okay? But as soon as I start falling into that, I start stressing myself out because there's nothing I can do. I cannot change this situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the only solution. So I'll never say to you, don't cry. I'll never say, stop crying now, cheer up. I'll never say that. When we were in the car and you got upset, I looked at you and I didn't really say anything, but I was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't going to try and change the way you felt. I didn't want to pull you out of it. I didn't want to make you stop feeling like that, because I know that you need to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also try and make it so that you know that it's not a burden on me. Like, that doesn't mean that I'm not under some level of stress, but that doesn't equal a burden. Because I know there's going to be a time where I'm going through something and my emotion is going to be all over the place. So I can't feel any kind of way about it in terms of, like, thinking that you shouldn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you said, you're like, oh, it puts a downer on everything. But something I repeat to you is that I don't expect you to be happy all the time. Like, the only thing I expect from you is to...
I would just take it day by day. Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean that's all you need is just somebody present, right? I mean, it's like I think sometimes people have this feeling that they want someone to try to fix something, like even if they can't, like put the effort forth to try to fix it. And I don't know, like maybe it's just because of how old I am. Like I just don't have that illusion that, you know, there's anybody out there that's going to be able to fix an issue, right? Things take time. Things take time to be fixed, to repair themselves, to be okay. And, you know I'll see my son again. And, I know that there's going to be work needed to, for me to be able to repair the relationship with him with whatever damage has been done. But I'm okay with that. It's my son. I love my son, you know. Word. I feel you there. I feel you there. Right? It's like, yeah, I don't need to be fixed. I don't need the situation to be fixed. I just need to be listened to. You know. How does traveling between countries? So the thing is like me coming out here wasn't a planned thing, right? I wasn't going to come out here until February, and it was only going to be for a couple weeks. And then after that, we were going to go back to, we are going to look at, we're going to have her move to Mexico. The plan is still to move to Mexico. But everything that happened, and I don't want to get into details about everything, right? Because there's certain restrictions on getting into graven detail, right? But a lot happened.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mo.
Like a lot happened in the 3 weeks or the 2.5 weeks that she was out in Mexico. There were good times, there were stressful times. A lot had happened, and I had basically gotten to a point where, yeah, I would be there with my son when I'd be able to see him, but I would be dealing with everything that was going on by myself. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that with how heavy things had gotten. And so we talked and we said, well, what if I come out there now? Right. So spent 2 weeks talking to my son and explaining to him the situation. Like without being disrespectful to other parties involved. And, he was sad, but he understood, right? And he knew that dad was coming back. And I mean, things just escalated in a way that, like, I was really hoping that they weren't going to escalate in, right? And I mean, my reactions, are probably part of the reason for that escalation. I take responsibility for my part in it because I'm not, innocent, right? I mean, there were reactions that I had to certain things and actions that I took that, it was said that they were part of the reason why they were reacting the way that they were, but I feel like they would have reacted the way that they were regardless of how I did things. I think it would have been the same outcome. But yeah, it just it is what it is. It's something that you just kind of have to deal with, and you have to play it by ear. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a perfect person and I make wonderful decisions because I'm not, and I don't. I just make what I feel at the moment is the best decision that I can make, given the situation, the circumstance. Right? Like I'm an overthinker, right? And so I play out situations in my head 1,000,000 times. And I play out every possible angle that I can think of, how things are going to go. And then I make a choice on how I act or how I handle things based on which one has the least amount of collateral damage, essentially. You know, is what I do. Does that mean that like what I do is perfect? Fuck no. Because the problem with overthinking is when even after you think you find a solution, you overthink the solution. So you hear Mexico's hectic at times. It can be, but you know, as long as you're not into drugs or anything illegal, then you should be fine, right? So, but
Stinks of shit though.
it does. Most places do. Most places in Mexico inevitably end up smelling like shit. But that's just because they have a really bad septic system. So, yeah, especially like if you get like August, like July, August, when the really hot months. Yeah, it smells like poo. Mexican food is fucking amazing.
I love how I go from poo to food.
Hey, it works, right? So let's see here. So using adversity as a tool for growth and deeper connection. So I think that this is definitely something that we can speak on. So how do you think, because obviously the biggest level of adversity that we're facing right now is my situation. So how do you think like that's brought us together?
Like brought you here.
Okay, well, physically.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
I suppose that me actually being like physically present while you go through it, like a big deal. Because with the time difference of you being in Mexico, like, you know, before I went to Mexico, we'd spend 17 hours a day on Discord video. And obviously for some of that time I'd be asleep and he'd be asleep. So yeah, my ability, both of our abilities to be present would be limited.
Mhm.
And I feel like he'd probably try and put on a tough front if cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being able to like navigate it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now it's not just like something I talk about. It's, you know.
No, I've essentially lived a part of it with you now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's going to make like, the end result all the more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely agree with that. You know, it does, like, even on my end, not that I wanted her to go through what she had to deal with while she was there. I do feel that her going through that, like, one of two things was going to happen. Like, she was either going to say, no, fuck this, I'm out. Or she's like, all right, so this is what is happening. This is how this shit's going down. So, you know, we have to deal with this together, right? And I mean, it is rare to find a person that is willing to kind of stand up and say, I got your back in this, right? Like that's a rarity. Like, I mean, she likes to sit there and say, like, oh, I'm just doing what anyone else would do. It's like, no, you're not. Trust me, no, you're not. So, you know, that's definitely, you know, a big aspect of things. So the next part, that was a pretty quick section. Wow. I guess we don't have a lot going on, right? So a ritual for protection and resilience. Have you been able to think of something that you could tell them that they can do? In the face of
I don't know about ritual, but like my first sort of thing that comes to mind is like working with Santa Maite. either with her white aspect or her black aspect. I feel like the white aspect to kind of just like purify everything as much as possible, and the black aspect to really give you that hardcore defensive protection. But, you know, I mean, that's very specific. I mean, in less specific terms, I suppose what you want to focus on is just sort of like keeping that level of like cleansing and purity in your, and when I say purity, I'm not talking like, you know, stop having sex or like some other weird sort of idea of purity. I mean, just like basically just limiting stress, I suppose, and anything kind of negative or stressing you out in your life, and just giving it a good old cleanse, really, and then working on something that's got more of a like warding effect, so that any more stuff that comes your way, it doesn't hit as hard.
I thought you were reading the chat. You're going to say something. Oh, okay.
It's just like hard to see it. Mike's cutting in and out, apparently.
Yeah, that's going to happen because of the noise gate. So the background noise is kind of cut out, like whatever is going on in the background. So I think, well, one thing I kind of wanted to do at the beginning of the show, and I forgot to do it at the beginning of the show because she went to go grab Mr. Mongoose, was, so I guess we'll do it here at the end of the show to close out. You want to do an energy read?
If you grab me some cards, yeah.
Where are they?
On the shelf. Oh no, they're up there.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll get them then. I love how you said rather.
I didn't know if you grabbed them because you've been working all day, so I'm not going to pay attention to them all day.
I haven't done any things today.
Okay.
Right, let's make some space on the table. Move your mug.
Yeah, move my mug. He wants me to move my face. So this is going to be a read that is going to be kind of specific to kind of relationship energy. That doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, with a partner, because if you don't have a partner, then, you know, it's going to be kind of hard, but surrounding, you know, at least energy that, you know, deals with someone that is close in your life, right?
Okay. First of all, we have the lights reflecting on it, but the 8 of Cups in reverse. So the 8 of Cups upright suggests that we need to leave something behind. It's a transition phase, but because it is in reverse, we are resisting said transition. So it could be that there's a change or a new stage of a relationship that you're feeling a little bit skeptical about. It might be because there's something scary about it, or that your emotions are caught up in the past. So this could be a lot of things. This could be insinuating a breakup. This could be entering something brand new. This could be changing your ideals for what you want in a relationship. This could be moving in together. It could be any kind of change, but there's a difficulty in that, and therefore there's a fear, and therefore there's a resistance. Because it's in the suit of cups, it's carries a lot of emotional baggage. And what this is, it's like you're reliving a past event. There's a saying I really like, which is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. So if you're having an extreme emotion about something, sometimes, a lot of the time, it's historical. It's down to something that's happened before that you are reliving. And what you're feeling may not be matching up to the reality of the situation. Or it could well be, but you've got that past experience and that past pain adding on to it. We have the 8 of, so 2 8s, that's interesting. We have the Eight of Swords upright. Trying to get it so it's best showing. So when I think of the Eight of Swords, you can see that she's bound and she's blindfolded. You're not seeing this for what it really is. It could be you're only seeing the negative. You're not seeing how this could lead to growth and expansion in your life. You might also be trapped in victimhood. Why is this happening to me? Rather than what is this trying to show me? So it's a difficult one because it's kind of like you don't really know how to get out of it. You feel very bound by these emotions. Quite heavy cards, really. A lot of swords and a lot of cups. But we finish with the Seven of Pentacles, which is reaping the fruits of your labor. So the kind of work that you put in here, the courage you show, the initiative you show is going to pay off. So it's kind of like one of those situations, if you're going through hell, keep going. Because there are definitely rewards on the other side. Think of it as very much being in the winter of this situation. You're in the winter of it right now. But when spring comes, things are going to look very different. You know how in the winter and the trees are bare, depending on where you live. Over here, the trees are bare right now. And you kind of forget what they looked like when they were green and when they had flowers on them and stuff like that. You kind of forget what it looks like. And then when the spring comes, you're like, oh shit, like the trees are going green again. It's like I almost forgot what this felt like. It's kind of like that. So it's almost like you can't imagine like things are going to be okay right now. You can't imagine that this change is going to be for the better. But it is. And there we go. And you can't see it because you've got the blindfold on.
There you go. So there is the energy read for that part of your life in the week, because tomorrow for Apocrypha, you're going to get another one from Mystic, which is more of a general read, but it makes sense that this is a couples podcast. So it makes sense that we would do a read based around kind of like that kind of vibe, right? And yeah, so with all that being said, that is going to conclude today's episode. I thank you all y'all guys for coming out. Greatly fucking appreciate it. You guys are fucking amazing. I think I went almost this entire show without swearing.
Yeah, probably. I didn't notice. I mean, every other word's a swear word with you, so... Yeah,
this is true. But, like, that's why I think I noticed, because I just said fuck, and it's just kind of...
Babe, I'm taking a fucking shower.
Yeah, I think I went almost the whole show without actually fucking swearing. Damn. All right, cool. Anywho, thank you all for coming out. Greatly appreciate it. Go check out Black Witch Dyra.
Oh, and also there's a new video coming on my channel tomorrow. My channel has been scarce for like the past 4 or 5 weeks, but there's a new video coming up tomorrow where we did a little collab, didn't we?
Yes.
And that's exciting because I think we had a good laugh doing that.
Yeah, it was good. So keep your eyes open for that one. So yeah, go to her channel, subscribe to her channel if you're not already, subscribe to mine if you're not already. Then also demonora.com, Dyra's merch line, also all of her stuff like supplies and stuff like that are on the site. You can get that, candles, portable altars, shrines, things of that nature. Her website, blackmagicdyra.com, for courses and work that she does. AdiusDade.com for all the fun shit that I do. Witchskills.com for the wonderful stuff coming up with witch skills. Keep that one in the back of your mind, because it's going to be a little while, but it will come. It will come. Just a lot of logistical stuff that needs to be taken care of with witch skills. Anyway, with all of that, we'll see you guys tomorrow on Apocrypha. Same bat time, same bat channel. And as always, hail thy fucking self. in the next one. Peace the fuck out. And Mr. fucking Mongoose. Bye.